Well, welcome. I'm glad that you all are here and are ready to take the next steps. So let's get started. So you're probably here because you're sluggish, tired, and you've gained weight. You know what to do. Everybody here knows what to do, but you just are having a hard time doing it. Last year was a crazy year, as we all know, and it has taken a toll on many people's health. A lot of research shows that alcohol intake has been up 33%, suicide has increased, the amount of prescription mood drugs have increased. It's all affecting everyone. According to the CDC, you could see a lot of percentages have gone up for a lot of mood disorders and suicides, unfortunately. It's nothing new that you haven't heard. Instead of the freshman 15, now they're talking about the quarantine 19. Gyms are closed, some gyms are open, but many people aren't going to gyms. Stress is high. Social isolation. So before COVID, I've read a lot of research showing that those that live to be 100 are involved in communities that will keep them, always in touch with people. It didn't matter, it blew my mind. So it didn't matter how much exercise they had, what food they ate, or anything. It was the matter of the fact that they had a community and they're always in touch with people. But now with COVID, we're asked to social distance. We're not asked to be around a lot of people, limiting contact with people. And so depression, anxiety, health issues are coming up. And a lot of research have identified the loneliness between heart disease and breast cancer. So it's just hard. What do you do? It's not easy. 55% said that they were working out less during the pandemic. They're not moving as much. A lot of people are working from home. So when you work from home, you not only are sitting all the time, not talking to anybody other than, from the computer, and then you have free access to the kitchen. More people are eating higher calorie foods because when you're feeling lonely or stressed, you're going to turn to those comfort foods because those comfort foods actually help build serotonin, which help you feel better. They're higher in tryptophan. And a lot of people are getting less sleep, even though they're working from home. Now they're working all the time. Instead of going to work and coming back, they're going to work, or they're always at work because they're at home. And then you get so distracted because you're home and then you're trying to do dishes and laundry and then you're still at work and then helping the kids at school. You have kids. And then they're not sleeping as well because of the stress. So increased cortisol, more hunger, harder to lose weight. It's pretty in-depth. So, how many of you can relate to this? You just put your hand up. Many, unfortunately. So, and everybody knows what to do. It's just, they're not doing it, right? Easier said than done, for sure. And then there's the component of emotional stress eating, which you eat more comforting foods when you're feeling stressed. It kind of stems back to when you were a baby and you started to cry, or you were a young child and you fell down. Oh, here's a lollipop. Oh, let's go get some ice cream. You had a bad day. Or, the crying baby, give them a bottle, kind of shut them up. But we all have this. This blew my mind looking at this graph. So this is the percentage of adults that exercise at least 30 minutes a day. And that's a tiny little slice out of the whole pie. So, and then the percentage of adults eating 2 to 3 cups of vegetables a day, another small size. So just try to aim for eating, a cup of vegetables each day, and then find a friend that you can go for a walk with. Of course, social distancing, right? 50% of adults want to lose weight, over 80% of dieters go back to their weight within 2 years. So, but imagine if all this reversed. We all got out our magical wand and kind of, did some magic, got rid of COVID and kind of turned the time, and we got back to where we were when we were healthy. But remember how it felt to have less weight, to have more energy, to not have all these worries and stressors. it's freeing. So a lot of times when you're trying to attain something, try to imagine yourself at your goal and at your health goal and how you feel. Maybe find a picture of what you want to look like or what you did look like and put it on the refrigerator, put it around the house so that you can be reminded, a positive reminder, not a negative reminder, that you can do it. You've done it before, you can do it again. And so you have to just place these reminders around and pretend that you're already there so that you can understand and remember the feeling of everything so you can feel it again. And that's a good motivating factor. But really, it comes down to a lifestyle. So it has to become part of your life. You can't just follow something and then forget about it, because that's when the weight comes back, the health issues come back. It has to become part of your lifestyle. Looking at the stats, 50% of adults have at least one chronic health condition. Almost 90% of chronic diseases account for all this healthcare costs that are increasing and will continue to increase. 25% of adults have 2 or more chronic health conditions. It's just madness. And a lot of this can be, there's a solution for it. It's really changing the way that you eat and just becoming more active. I just read some research yesterday. It was so interesting. You always think, so let me pull up your pictures again. So out of everybody that's here, what would you think is the #1 health promoting exercise? Would you say it's the HIIT intensity, walking, or running? So raise your hand if you think it's HIIT intensity, like the high intensity interval training. Anyone vote for that? All right, how about just walking every day for 30 minutes? Okay, or the last one is just running, like if you ran every day for 10 minutes. So actually the research, so I follow this naturopath, he's a huge guy on research, and he's reading research all the time, and then he'll write an article about it, which is helpful because then I don't have to read all the research. But he came down to, it doesn't matter what exercise you do, as long as you're doing exercise. So go and do, like, walk. He says, I used to think that I'd have to run up this hill that he always walks up. He's like, you don't. You can take your time and look at the trees and look at the birds. Just as long as you're active every day and you're moving and you're getting your juices flowing, that's all that matters. So go and walk, do something you enjoy is the key. And, and that's going to make you a lot more healthier, which I was like, oh, wow, that's great. Because the amount, when people did more intensity exercise, it only changed the health by like 4% at the most, 4% out of like 100%. It's really not that much. But the key is just to get moving. So the answer is, having accountability, having a step-by-step way to do things to get back on the wagon. And the key is, everybody's going to fall off the wagon. The key is to continue to get back up and continue to go on the wagon, the wagon of health. So this is a program that we put together. There's 5 pillars of health, and throughout the whole program, we'll talk about detox, nutrition, movement, mindset to restore overall health. So detox the toxic. How many of you have done a detox before? Raise your hand. Yeah. So it's never a question of if I'm toxic. It's always a question of, yes, you are toxic. It's just how toxic are you and how efficient is your body at getting rid of everything. So a lot of times, and genetic wise, so some people genetically can detox faster than others, and other people, they have genetic mutations which affect their ability to detox. So you can detox simply by eating cleaner foods, because the more chemical your food is, the more complicated the food matter is, the more time it takes to detox or to metabolize it. And over time, as Americans, we just eat more and more foods that aren't food. So if you look on a label, it should only have a couple foods listed, versus the whole side of the box taken up. And if you read the actual ingredients, it's ingredients that are really and truly hard to say and hard to, sorry, I keep on getting this message that comes up. So you want to stick to the foods that are found in nature. typically. Eating clean, kind of got ahead of myself. So people that eat more of a variety of foods will have a bigger microbiome. So the microbiome is all the good and bad bacteria that make up your intestinal flora or your intestinal bacteria. The healthier that you have, the more variety you have of your foods. So a lot of people get into a rut and start eating the same foods all the time. Then they have less, or they restrict their actual bacteria that's present in their gut. So the variety is key. So the more variety your diet, you actually use more of your brain, which is really interesting. Trying to eat the rainbow of colors every day. So aiming for eating something red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple throughout the day, you increase your chances of getting more antioxidants, minerals, everything else. And I'm not talking Skittles, right? And then movement. So move the body, because there's obviously a clear link between not moving and moving. The more muscle that you have when you're sitting around, the more calories you burn when you're not doing anything. The more muscles you have, the stronger that your muscles are, the stronger your bones become, because the muscles pull on the bones, which makes your bones stronger. So that's really important as well. The US consumes the most calcium in the world. However, we have one of the highest rates of osteoporosis. And the reason for that is, from what I've read, is the pH is off. So when you're not eating a number of high mineral foods, vegetables, fruits, whole foods, non-processed foods, then your body becomes a lot more acidic. And as it's acidic, your body will pull the bicarbonate out of your bone to make the pH a lot more alkaline. And in doing that, you're causing osteoporosis. So the key would be to, alkalize your intake, which means eating more whole foods, natural whole foods, more greens, more alkalizing foods, less acidic foods, which are like dairy and meat products. And then thinking positive is important. We all know this. Let's see. So who can benefit? Obviously, everybody. You want to fit back into your genes, turn on your fat burning genes, which it is something that you can do. Lower your body fat. So the key with weight loss, here's the key, is to get to the point where your body turns to fat instead of glycogen. So let's picture a meal. You eat a meal. If it's, let's say it's a plate of pasta, anything that's a higher carb meal, or anything in general that you eat, your body turns it into something called glycogen. And glycogen is stored in the liver. And so whenever you're not eating, your body is turning to this glycogen for fuel, because it's very effective, very efficient. It's when this glycogen burns out, if it's all empty and there's no more stores in the liver, that's when your body converts to burning to fat. But a lot of times people have a never-ending storage of glycogen because they're continually eating things that are higher in, like a high calorie food. So most of the higher calorie foods, like pastries, baked goods, pastas, things that are really high in those branched chain carbohydrates, is going to increase your storage of glycogen. And when your glycogen is high, then your body will continue to use it because it's very efficient. And when you eat more of like a lower carb diet, where you're just eating like a good source of protein, like meat, like a lean meat, chicken, beef, fish, and then some vegetables, then you can eventually lower this glycogen level to the fact where it's gone, and then your body will start to turn to your fat, or whatever stored of fat that you want to get rid of instead. And it's really important to do this because, especially when glycogen levels are very high, you start to get something called adipose fat, or visceral fat, around your organs. And that can increase your chances of cardiovascular disease and disease in general, because your organs have all this fat on it, which make it, especially if your heart has it, makes it a lot harder to beat, which isn't very healthy. So this is kind of an outline of the program that we put together. It's a 12-week program. Each week is something different. So you can see week 1, you do weeks 1 and 2. We start with a a detox called NutriClear Plus. We'll do a questionnaire before you start, and then a questionnaire at week 6 and a questionnaire at week 12, just to see how you're improving. And then each week we're going to be talking about something different. So there's going to be, so we talked about detox, week 2, nutrition, mindset, movement, and then it kind of repeats over time. But this gives you weekly information. So the idea is, I get really frustrated because I don't have enough time to educate people when they have different appointments if they're a patient of mine. So this will give you a lot of good background education on how to become healthier. And once you learn all that there is, it makes you healthier overall because you become aware of things that are making you unhealthy. So the first 2 weeks is NutriClear, which is a little more intense detoxification. So a lot of people hear detoxification and they think, oh, great, I'm going to be pooping my brains out. And it's really not that. These are shakes, protein-based shakes that have full amino acids, which really help the liver, and nutritional packets, which help support those liver detoxification pathways. So there's, just to make it short, a couple cycles in the liver that help to eliminate toxins. And if you're not getting proper nutrients, then those cycles don't work, and then you start to accumulate toxins. So you can do that. And then the metabolic biome, these are kits that really help with weight loss. So they taste good. They really target the microbiome in the gut, which I'll get to in a little bit, because there's really cool research showing, and some of the stool tests that I've been doing more often do show a specific ratio of the natural flora in your gut. And if you have a certain, there's Firmicutes, there's a strand called Firmicutes. I can never say it very well, but if you have that ratio being high, that naturally makes you actually higher BMI or have a higher body mass index. It makes you kind of gain weight more. And so if you can focus on lowering that specific strand and increasing the more leaner bacteria, it actually makes you leaner. So they did a study where they pulled this bacteria and they put it in somebody that was obese. They put the skinny gene, if you will, or the skinny bacteria, and it made them lose weight. They didn't do anything else. They just, made them lose weight. And then they took the Firmicutes strand and put it into somebody that was lean, and it made them cause them to gain weight. So that's really, I haven't found a specific probiotic that just increases that, because the main thing is you change those strains by eating well and building the proper flora. You can't just take a probiotic for that specific strand. Right, bummer, right? But yeah, so the first 6 weeks is pretty much doing you do 2 shakes a day with the supplements that are provided, and then and you do 1 meal a day. You're not supposed to be hungry. They just give you a list of foods that are approved and foods that you want to avoid. So the foods that you want to avoid are like common, like things that you want to avoid, like wheat, dairy, alcohol, coffee. But don't let the coffee thing keep you from doing it. I mean, if you have to, you could probably limit it to 6 ounces a day. Most people drink too much coffee, multiple ounces a day, which isn't good. And then you could see from week 7 down, I'll put together a personal protocol just for you to help whatever symptoms come up. And that's based on the questionnaire. So this is the NutriClear Plus. It's the 15-day, 2-week packets. Trying to release those toxins, supporting the liver. Because a lot of times, if a lot of people don't lose weight because of their toxic load, the body stores the toxins in the fat. And so if your body is doesn't have the proper nutrients to support detoxification, then your liver won't allow for weight loss, because when you lose weight, you're breaking down fat tissue, and that's releasing more toxins, which can overwhelm the body and hurt the organs. So sometimes that's why some people have weight resistance, because they cannot, their body can't deal with the burden of the fat. the key goal of these kits would be to lower the hunger and the cravings, improve digestion. There's anti-inflammatories in there to lower pain and inflammation. It improves cholesterol, because most of the time if your liver is congested, it's going to affect your cholesterol, which can also be one of the reasons why your cholesterol is higher. Usually main reason for high cholesterol would be not eating really well. But the genetic portion of it is some people just don't. So you're supposed to eat the cholesterol, you're supposed to use it for your hormones, and then you're supposed to excrete it. But some people have something where they're reabsorbing it in the intestines, and then that's why their cholesterol remains really high. But there's ways to get around that. Of course, it's going to be free from all the unwanted things like sucrose and fructose, artificial flavors or colors. Sucrose is one thing that you really want to make sure you avoid, because it lowers your circulation to your kidneys by 50%, which is a no-yay situation for your kidneys. And then, of course, it's gluten and dairy free. So you have that. So this is the symptoms that we look at. So this is a group of people that did this program so far. And before, you can see the before and after symptoms. So the before symptoms of this patient A was 50 symptoms. And then after they did the 12-week program, they had 84% reduction. They lost 12 pounds. It typically is anti-inflammatory. It helps get you on the right track, get you going so that you see good improvement. 90% for this person lost 5 pounds. So they're not going to lose a ton of weight, but you're going to get back on track so that you can, just start feeling back to your normal self. And then you can see it on this bar graph. So the before is this red, the one with the red dots. And then after, you can see after they did the detox, all the symptoms did reduce. And then the metabolic biome is that really helps with weight loss. It helps keep you satiated, helps lower cravings so that you can kind of get back on track. So these are some of the research on the microbiome. This professor showed that the gut related to obesity. So that was the article I was telling about. Most people that have a tendency for obesity, if you look at if you run a stool test, their bacteria is very imbalanced. The more quote unquote bad bacteria that you have, not only does it promote more disease, autoimmunity, it increases inflammation. So a lot of the bacteria release something called LPS, which is a lipopolysaccharide, which is very inflammatory to the body and actually affects the receptor sites of many of the processes in the body. So that's why you really have to focus on eating well, because when you eat good food, you're feeding your good bacteria. When you eat bad food, you're feeding those little gremlins inside that will party and multiply and go crazy and create a lot of inflammation, which can make you feel like crud, right? So here's that Firmicutes bacteria. So the obese patients had the higher levels of Firmicutes. So F for kind of fat is how I remember that. And then when the leaner patients had more of the Bacteroides. So really interesting things. So I'll look at that ratio when I run stool tests, and it's more common to have the Firmicutes because stress promotes this, and poor eating. If you've ever had antibiotics, it will increase this. So you could see why our population and Americans in general have a tendency to become more obese. Here's some other really cool articles that are out there. But again, it kind of hits home the importance of working on your gut, eating well, so that you can prevent not only obesity, but disease. So, kind of a little redundancy. But again, it's going to do what you need it to do, and it's going to give you a structured program to get you there. So improving the good flora, which will help with weight loss. So I never really introduced myself, but I am Dr. Michelle Dillon. I'm a wife and mom of 3, doctor and business owner. So I am well aware of the stressors of life and being busy and trying to keep your energy up. I remember when I was early in practice, I was so overwhelmed with just coming out of med school and trying to build a practice. And we had just moved here from Arizona, so I was just super overwhelmed. And I would come and drive to work and just cry in the parking lot because I was so overwhelmed It was before I was running my own practice. Well, this is my third year in practice. I decided the first 2 years I was working with another doctor, and then I got pregnant with my first daughter, and I decided to go on my own because that's the perfect time to open your own business when you have a newborn, right? But my passion was I really just wanted to be with her, and I wanted to call my own hours and do my own thing. And so I never in my mind thought I would fail, which looking back, I'm like, I am insane. What was I thinking? But I just wanted to do it for her. I remember telling Eamon, my husband, that I would never open my own practice. I would never do it because it was too scary. It was too scary and too hard, and I didn't know how to do it. But I think, having kids makes you realize how much you can do, and it just gives you a really good drive. So that to say, I know what it's like to feel tired and to try to not being able to do what you need to do because you're so tired and overwhelmed with everything. But since then, I have learned a lot. Even after med school, as a doctor, you're constantly learning. It never ends because there's always something else that you need to learn. And the more that you learn, I feel like the more that you realize you don't know. I learn from patients. They bring in a lot of articles, and then I'm constantly doing research and reading journals and whatnot. But since 2007, I work with thousands of women and their families, helping them with fatigue and hormonal issues, digestive issues. These are some of the testimonials I've gotten over the years. So anyways, just to get back to what we're talking about, this program, we'll talk a little about who's it for, who's it not for. I would say if you're ready to take action, but you need a little accountability and support, I think this would be a good program. I'm planning on doing weekly calls. You will get supportive emails daily, or I think 3 times a week, and then we'll have a private Facebook group. You want something step-by-step to explain every single thing that you need, and it will come all put together in a box. You're willing to do what it takes. I think this is a good fit for you. Who it's not for, I wouldn't say it would be somebody that's on at least multiple prescription drugs, because some of the liver support can interfere with that, but I'm willing, let me know what you're taking and we can talk about it. If you're not willing to take action and you're not willing to start one step at a time, I don't think this would be a good fit for you. So again, there's the kind of the setup, how to get started. So we're going to run this. So this is a 12-week program, and it's all covered. So you have every single thing that you need for 12 weeks. We'll probably start at the end of January. The rep did tell me that both shakes are on back order. I believe we ordered at least 4 kits. So we can definitely sign up 4 people. I don't know how long it will be until we get more. So if you're interested, and you have a friend that's interested, then both of you refer a friend and you get $100 off. So if you are interested and you want to get started, you can either call the office or email me at drdillon@charlottenaturalwellness.com. And Dillon is spelled Dillon, because some people add that little I after the L. So yeah, everything's covered. You'll have access for life. Will I offer this again? I don't know. So I'll see how it goes. I'm always looking into different things and I'll just have to see how it goes. So I don't know if I will run it again. And I am recording this so you guys can share it with. So now I'm going to open it up for questions. If you guys have questions, let me know. You can use the chat box. And if not, then that's okay too.